This is the biggest one I've just seen now, which could potentially like be the biggest game changer in the Canon, Sony, any mirrorless camera world. And that is, it looks like Canon is finally trying to rival the Sony FX3, because next week they're going to announce a brand new cinema camera in the RF lineup called the Canon C50, which is potentially going to be replacing the Canon R5C. Now this looks really, really interesting because Canon did actually post a little photo of the Canon C50 and it looks like a very, very similar design to the Sony FX3, which is regarded as probably the best cinema camera money can buy at this minute for the last like 3 or 4 years since it's come out. It's such an amazing camera, dual base ISO, S-Log free, such a great form factor. You really can't go wrong with the FX3, and it looks like Canon are finally going to be rivaling it with this new Canon C50, and it looks very, very interesting. And we've got some rumored specs as well, which look absolutely incredible. So it's going to have a 32 megapixel sensor. So it's not quite going on the Sony FX3 line because that has a 12 megapixel sensor, and the lower the megapixels on when it comes to video, more or less means it's better in low light situations. That's why the Sony FX3 is such a beast in low light, because it has low megapixels. The Canon R5C has 45 megapixels, so it's not as good in low light, but for my use, because I've used it a lot in my full-time job, and I actually really love that camera, and it's pretty good in low light with that dual base ISO at 3200 as well. Speaking of dual base ISO, with the Sony FX3 having 800 and 12,800 ISO, the Canon C50 is looking to integrate the triple base ISO from the Canon C80 and the Canon C400, which is absolutely amazing. It's actually, from my tests, because we used both of them cameras at my full-time job at work pretty much all the time, it's actually not that good in low light from my situations. There's a lot of noise in the shadows unless you overexpose it a little bit, but it's still such an amazing low light beast. As soon as you hit the 12,800, the noise drops significantly, and as long as you expose it correctly and don't crush the shadows, you're going to get a really nice clean image. And the great thing about the triple base ISO is that if it's in this form factor, that's already beating the Sony FX3 in my opinion, because the annoying thing about the Sony FX3 is if you're at 800 and you need to get more light, you go up to 12,800, and sometimes you put an ND on inside, I've heard people say. So 3200 is such that nice sweet spot in between 800 and 12,800, and that is what I love so much about the C400 and the Canon C80. It's also meant to have similar 6K recording to the Canon C80 and C400 as well, and it's going to have 4K 100 frames per second, but apparently it's going to have a crop, which I personally think is okay. I think when you got a crop at 4K 50 or 60, that's pretty unacceptable, like the Sony FX2. I think that's ridiculous that it has a crop at that, considering my R6 Mark II has 4K 50, no crop whatsoever. So 4K 100, it's nice to have that option, but obviously having a crop's not the biggest deal in the world. It's not the best, but I think it's fine. And then dual SD card slots. So just like the C80, no CF Express. Personally, I think that can be a good thing because I have a lot of SD cards already, but it depends on what the codecs are like. My SD cards might not actually be fast enough for this camera. So, and you can actually get some really cool Angel Bird CF Express cards for very, very cheap, especially the 500GB ones. This is the biggest one I've just seen now, which could potentially like be the biggest game changer in the Canon, Sony, any mirrorless camera world, and that is open gate recording. The Lumix cameras have open gate recording, and I think open gate recording is such needed in 2025 going into 2026, especially because the amount of people and clients that want portrait vertical content. The amount of reels people are just shooting solo for, and they're shooting vertical only, then that you can't use that as a landscape if they want like an overall main video to show off. Like if you're shooting all these different reels and then you want to make like a combined video, having vertical, it really does limit you. Whereas if you shoot landscape, you can crop into vertical, and you've also got that landscape if you do want to create a nice 16:9 video. So having open gate recording just allows you to shoot literally for anything. You've got the height for the vertical and you've got the width of landscape. You've got that wiggle room to crop in if you are shooting 16:9 video. I think open gate recording is one thing that I would absolutely love. So for example, shooting a video like this, I would love to shoot in open gate because I can shoot it like this for this main YouTube video, but then also if I want to crop it into a reel, I don't have to crop in too much, lose a little bit of quality, or I can shoot in 1080p if I want because I don't have to crop in as much, because shooting in 4K is very, very heavy, and And especially when I don't have a lot of storage, I would like to shoot in 1080p. But just for stuff like this, cropping for vertical, I can shoot it for landscape, full YouTube videos, and then I could crop for vertical for reels, and I still got a lot more room that I don't have to worry about. So I think open gate recording is absolutely game changing. And if Canon does do that, I think this is gonna blow the Sony FX3 out the water. But I think that could potentially come in a Sony FX3 Mark II. So it's not really the Canon C50 versus the FX3. I think it's going to be the Canon C50 versus the Sony FX3 Mark II. And I think the Sony FX3 Mark II will bring triple bass. And if Canon are putting open gate in this, I really do think the Sony FX3 Mark II will have open gate as well. It's claimed to have 15 plus stops of dynamic range and can shoot in C-Log2 and C-Log3, which is an absolute must-have in my opinion. C-Log2 is amazing, and the one thing that really put the Canon R5C back in my opinion, and one thing that actually stopped me purchasing it mainly, not the battery life, even though that's not the best, you can just put a V mount on it, but was not having C-Log2. Whenever we use the Canon C80 and C400 at work alongside the R5C, it's just not as good. It's not as punchy. Colors don't look as good. The dynamic range isn't as good. Even though C-Log3 is amazing, I use it all the time. I'm shooting on it now on my R6 Mark II. I absolutely love it. But for a Canon cinema camera like that, I think C-Log2 is a must because it is a big upgrade over C-Log3. So if this has C-Log2, 4K 100, even if it is a river crop, 6K recording, triple bass ISO, and open gate recording, this is going to be such an incredible camera. It won't have internal NDs because of the form factor, and I think that's perfectly fine. But if they can price this at a very reasonable price, I think this is going to be one of the best cameras out there on the market, and I'm definitely going to be interested in picking it up because this looks like it's going to be an absolute beast. Apparently they're going to be releasing a new lens as well alongside this camera, so be sure to look out for that lens as well. Hopefully, I'd imagine as well, it's going to be like one of them video-centric prime lenses, maybe an 85mm, we'll have to wait and see. But overall, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Are you excited for this camera? Is it going to beat the FX3, and is it going to rival the FX3 Mark II? Because looks like Canon really do mean business. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you later.